Okay, right off the bat, our first question will come from Mary Jane Ginocchio. The first question will be, of course, going to Mr. Edson. And Mr. Edson, you and the rest of the panel will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to respond. This question goes to everybody on the panel, right down the line. Just making sure that everybody is in the correct order, I believe. Okay, Mary Jane.
Well, I first want to say I'm also the timekeeper, so I've got the gavel, and remember it's 90 seconds. I'll give you a heads up at 60 seconds that you have 30 seconds still left on the clock. And I've got a stopwatch in front of me. I'm sorry you can't see it, but I'll be glued to watch the seconds pass. So if you have any questions on that or concerns,
yeah,
don't.
I'm going to agree to that thing.
All right, promise not to hit anybody on the head with this. All right, so the first question, and I'll start certainly my start button after I ask the question. Many of the organizations represented here rely on volunteer efforts in part or in whole to get their work done. The World War II generation had a high level of civic participation. Successive generations less so. With an aging demographic and declining budgets, some may not be able to continue for much longer. What is your advice?
Calaveras County needs to get the economy going again. We had economy here. We had a good service. We had a lot of organizations with a lot of volunteerism back in 50s, well, actually since 1926 when the cement plant came in. And the communities here were doing great. They were busy. There was lots of money to go around. And then as soon as the cement plant left, it started declining. One of the reasons, I think, is because, well, actually, after the cement plant left, it was still going pretty good because of the construction industry. Still had volunteerism, still had kids that go to school and opportunities for them to work here. And that was because there were people moving up here and creating that construction industry from the valley and from the Bay Area. So the economy is what we need to get going here. Volunteerism is getting less and less. The average volunteer age is 65 years old, and we need to find a way to get that going again.
Next up, Mr. Tofinelli.
I just have one question real quick. When you hit the gavel, is that the 30 seconds or the 90 seconds? Or what is the 30 seconds?
I'm sorry. If it wasn't clear, I hit the gavel at 60 seconds, and then you have 30 seconds to wrap.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was the end.
Scared me.
Scared me, too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say that I belong to a volunteer organization. I'm a board member of one here locally, actually several here locally, and it's been my experience in the ones I belong to that we are in a banner year, or been in a banner year the last couple of years as far as getting people to volunteer. Why is that? I think because some of the boards I belong to, we're very viable. We have fundraisers, and the fundraisers are very successful because a lot of people that are involved in those groups are very much energetic and wanting to get things done, and they do. I think my advice would be for the ones that don't have that is you need to go out and you need to do some recruitment, and I don't disagree that we need some economics here in this county to viably help people and bring people in here. Certainly the age is getting older, we're all getting older, and the younger group that's coming in here, much like the turnover that we have, they're raising their kids, they're bringing their kids up, they're commuting out of time. They don't really have time for volunteerism, so there's going to be a little bit of a gap there, I think, but we can bring it together by going out. Our group actively pursues volunteers. We do a very good job at it.
Mr. Wright.
All right, well, thanks a lot for everybody being here tonight. It's a great turnout, even though we have the World Series going on. And I think just looking across this room and the experience I've had over the last 7 years of working for a nonprofit organization, and for the last year of running for office, I've gotten to know a lot of the county, but especially District 2 and all the diverse communities there. You look at the Blue Mountain community area, West Point, Mountain Ranch, Moke Hill, and every community in between, including Paloma. And volunteers are doing amazing things throughout District 2. I mean, there's hundreds of active volunteers, and it's just it's really remarkable how much it has been accomplished. And however, that said, usually I'm the youngest person in the room. And that is one of the problems we have. I look around this room tonight and I do see a few faces that are younger than I am or close to my age, and that is a good sign. And I think it falls upon us in this generation to go out and recruit our own. She's emphasizing that point right there. We have to go out and we have to recruit our peers and really remind them of the responsibility of leadership that we have in our community, and really step forward and take that responsibility. And I see that happening, and I'll continue to work with the different communities at really doing that recruitment that is necessary in our community.
Thank you. Mary Jane, could we use a verbal warning for the
No.
30 seconds?
I like
And then we'll
this.
finish with the gavel, because I'm ready to jump through the roof here.
I'll be
Hear that one more
softer.
time.
So is everybody in the audience.
I'll be softer.
So let's go verbal if you can. Mr. Randall.
We live in a different world than it used to be 10, 20 years ago. A lot of our families are dual income families, and their time is limited. I think the way we need to improve volunteerism is to get our parents to bring their kids to help volunteer, teach them the value of volunteering, and get them involved, show them that it's fun, and show them that there's a lot of community effort, and set an example for them. But we need to get the kids involved.
Next, Mr. Tran.
Well, let me start by saying I totally disagree with the premise that's being put forward here tonight. We're not about to dissolve any county departments. We're not going to do away with animal control. We're not about ready to lose the library, even the branch libraries. So the idea that we're, in a position of dissolution, as Mr. McGreevy has pointed out, I think is a faulty premise. Obviously, we have very strong volunteer support groups for many of these what I'll refer to as sort of critical social needs. If you're going to put a tax and give them a dedicated tax stream going to the volunteer organizations, you will diminish significantly the whole concept of volunteering. One of the strengths they have is that they're volunteers. Once you turn them into a
30 seconds.
government-funded or even a partially government-funded support group accountable to nobody, I think you are going to greatly diminish the concept of volunteering in Calaveras County for these types of organizations. Obviously, more funding will become available as the economy improves. We've just gone through the worst recession since the Great Depression. We haven't lost any of our critical government services. They're all still very much in place. As the economy improves, there will be additional funding.
Okay, time's up. Thank you, Mr.
Time's
Tran.
up.
Just for clarification from Ms. Ponte, what Mr. McGreevy was referring to was not a dissolving of any county services, but yet the volunteer organizations that make up the Citizens for Better Calaveras. For example, the Friends of the Library or the Arts Council. Ms. Ponte.
I don't think that changes my comments. They're not about to go away.
Thank you.
Could I have the question repeated?
Certainly. Many of the organizations represented here rely on volunteer efforts in part or in whole to get their work done. The World War II generation had a high level of civic participation, successive generations less so. With an aging demographic and declining budgets, some may not be able to continue for long. What is your advice?
Well, in regards to volunteerism, I think it starts at home, and I think I'm a product of that. and pleased to have my mother and my 2 children here, that my mom is a role model showing me what volunteerism was about. Raising, as a child being raised, we were very involved in 4-H in the school system as volunteers, and I personally have continued that throughout my lifespan. And I really believe it does start at home. We have to show our youth and others role models at home, volunteering, whether it be for the schools or roadside cleanup or in our libraries, Arts Council, these kinds of things. The other thing I'd like to mention is I believe that we can reach out to our employers. I own and operate a senior living facility in Angels Camp, and part of my employees is to volunteer and provide community service within our communities. And we do a lot of fundraising and other kinds of activities that help to support things like the Arts Council and the food bank and things along that line. So I think employers can play a role too in encouraging their employee groups to give back to their
30
community in
seconds.
some fashion. The other thing I'd like to make mention is a lot of what I see volunteer-wise is our older population is diminishing, but I believe we do have a strong youth group that we can tap into and show them the meaningful efforts of volunteerism and how we can give back to our communities to make them a better place.
Thank you.